let's bring in Rachel Maddow, who's here. All right, let's go back to what we saw from Joe Biden. Again, maybe the most impactful thing here was a typo, was a verbal, and the irony of that being that that's what he's so renowned for, if you will. Right. And this time it worked to his advantage. What else worked to his advantage or disadvantage?
Well, Joe Biden is an emotional guy, and when he got up there and he talked about how proud he was of his son, and he didn't start crying, but you saw the emotion in his face. You heard it in his voice when he described his mother and talked about his mother and looked at his mother in the stands. You saw the emotion there. He is an emotional guy. It's part of what makes him salt of the earth. It's part of what makes him likable. This wasn't a very emotional speech, even coming from an emotional guy. Ultimately, it was an indictment of John McCain, and he was doing the work that the campaign needs to do there in order to do right by this ticket. I think Obama coming on at the end, before this week, nobody would have thought of Joe Biden and Barack Obama as a team. You think of them as allies, maybe, but Biden didn't come out for Obama during the primary process. You didn't get the sense they didn't like each other, but we didn't think of them as a team. Seeing the families sort of merge there together, saying how much he's on board with the whole Biden clan, it is a cementing of the bond of these two. It is an absorption of the Biden family into the Obama family and vice versa. To see Michelle Obama crying along with the introduction that Beau Biden gave his father, it's an emotional bond that can't be doubted now.
The role of Joe Biden in this campaign, we saw it a little bit on Saturday. We saw the beginning of it, that there were references to McCain. Again, always prefaced by this, I think, sincere description of the two as friends. But these are, again, some extraordinary words. And the quotes, I mean, perhaps the delivery here was not what it might have been. But to say this administration's policy has been an abysmal failure, America cannot afford 4 more years of this. Now, despite being complicit in this catastrophic foreign policy, John McCain says Barack Obama isn't ready to protect our national security. It seems to me that they can use that and evolve that and make it spin out for the next 69 days to great effect.
Well, when is the last time that you've heard it hollered in a full-throated way from the Democratic side at John McCain? John McCain was wrong. Barack Obama was right again and again on the most important national security issues of our time. John McCain was wrong, and Barack Obama was proven right. To say, you know what, John McCain's big weakness here is national security, and it is Barack Obama's strength. That has been a pundit point. That has been a point that commentators have made. That has been a critic's point. That has not been the campaign's point until this point.
You know, I think Rachel responded to this. There's a couple lines I agree that weren't as powerfully delivered as they were written. And, of course, it's very hard to hit every nail. This line, he said, he talked about if we get elected, the Democrats in this case, you won't ever hear this phrase in the English language. The vice president's office is on the phone. The enforcer. This is the first time in our history we've had a vice president with so much enormous power over intel, over foreign policy, over war making, to the point where you wonder, in fact, most people who have studied it, wonder if we would have gone to war in Iraq had we had a different vice president. That's the kind of power that is scary. The second point, this one here, I loved it. It wasn't delivered well by the candidate. It was very pointedly and well written. Do you remember when America was trusted?
Yeah.
That is a very tough question.
Folks, remember when the world used to trust us?
I wish he had slowed that down and indicted that with more power.
And, you know, on the first point, Chris, to have had Cheney not come up very much in this convention is pretty remarkable, given what low-hanging fruit he is for
Good point
a Democratic audience.
Exactly. I don't even talk about Guantanamo here.
Yeah. But I think that for all of the targeting of McCain that we saw from Biden in the speech, he pulled that Cheney punch. It's making a joke about how scary Cheney is. It's not using Cheney's name. You have to know a lot about, you know, David Addington making calls from Cheney's office and what that might mean for your job in the Justice Department in order to get that joke. He didn't go right at Cheney. And I don't know why the Democrats are still pulling some punches. And if it wasn't going to happen tonight, I don't know that we should expect that it will happen tomorrow. If it's only going to happen from the down-ticket speeches that don't get on primetime, it may ultimately be a missed opportunity.
How about here's a question, a call for the vice president's office. We don't have enough intel to take us to war. Come up with something to the CIA. Yeah. That's a call that's probably been made a few times. Come up with tougher evidence. I want this war.
Well, you know, when Beau Biden introduced his father and said, my father had the courage to tell Slobodan Milosevic to his face that he was a war criminal. You know what? Americans want to talk about having been lied into war and how we can make sure this never happens again in this country. There hasn't been accountability. Nobody got fired for 9/11. One guy got fired for Katrina, and he was the Arabian horse guy. Nobody got fired for lying us into war in Iraq. George Tenet got the Medal of Freedom. Americans are mad about this stuff, and they want to hear that the Democratic Party gets it and is mad too and is going to fix it.
The one observation about talking on these topics is Democrats have been so slow to do this, generally speaking, for the last 2 years. And thus, if you're measuring progress on this in eyedroppers, the fact that Biden said for every American who is trying to do the right thing, for all those people in government who are honoring their pledge to uphold the law and respect our Constitution. That's the preface to the line you quoted, which I also circled here. No longer will the 8 most dreaded words in the English language be the Vice President's office is on the phone. It was in the 4th paragraph of the speech, after the thank yous and after the yes, I want to serve with Obama. The next thing was, we have a damn Constitution here, and we intend to enforce it. Now, you need to bring it out a little bit at a time. Better than not bringing it out at all.
Yeah.
All right.